Hey, how's it going, YouTube? Got for you guys today, week 1 of the CCL D League. Now, I accidentally just did this whole thing without checking the mic, and of course it was mute, but that's besides the point. If you guys are excited for the first week of the CCL D League and for the Durham Druddigons, I'm stuttering, I'm so excited, then make sure to hit the like button down below. Also, make sure to answer the common question of the day, which should be on your screen. Now, our first week opponents are going to be the Shut Up Sorks, my good boy, not Sork, aka Sork, aka Damn It Sork, aka Shut Up Sork. His channel link and stuff will be down in the description. Now, if you guys may have missed my team analysis video for the Durham Druddigons, then a link to that will also be down in the description, and you guys can see why I drafted what I drafted and what all I drafted as well. So with that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at what we are bringing this first week. So we're going to be starting off with Meltzer the Mammoth Swine, running enough speed to outspeed, minimal speed EV'd, bulky Manaphy and bulky Celebi if for some reason he wants to bring them, with Rocks being able to wear down his team, of course. Then we have Dual Stab and Icicle Crash and Earthquake and Ice Shard, of course. This is actually able to just utterly destroy Sork's draft, so I'm really hoping that Meltzer can put in a lot of work. We have good old Spadef bulky Tangrowth here because most of Sork's team are special attackers. Now, he does have a Heatran, but I'm pretty positive that he's not going to want to bring the Heatran. And actually, before I do forget, let's take a look at what I think Sork is going to want to bring. Hold on. Here it is. This is more or less what I think Sork is going to want to bring. He most likely is going to want to bring just Rocks on Ferrothorn because I don't really see him wanting to bring Landers, considering that I do kind of have a rain team, you could say. I have Kingdra, I have Kabutops, I even have Tangrowth, I could even have HP Ice on Jolteon, so I'm not really too concerned about that. Latios, this is honestly the biggest threat that I think Sork can bring against us, whether it's Specs or Life Orb will determine on how we can deal with it. And that's another reason why Tangrowth is especially defensive, because we can take one Specs Draco Meteor if he doesn't get a high damage roll and if he doesn't have Rocks up. Although if he does bring Toxapex, that could be a little bit annoying because he could easily get up T-Spikes. Then again, there's a chance that we could bring Scolipede, so he may not even bring T-Spikes on Toxapex if he does decide to bring it. I have AV Cobalion, as you saw. This is able to take 2 Draco Meteors from Latios without him having spikes up. So I can switch into one Draco, take it, switch back out, and if necessary, switch back into another one. And then depending on rolls and on if he's Life Orb or Specs, I can also take 2 Psyshocks from Latios, which is going to be really great because this gives me another kind of safe pivot into that giant threat of a Mon. And this is also another reason why I have Regenerator, or this is the main reason why I have Regenerator on Reuniclus, because he could easily bring Latios, and this is able to switch in to Choice Specs Draco Meteor, and after the -2 can live another Specs Draco Meteor, and then from there we can recover or Shadow Ball to pick it off and then switch out and regain back our HP. And this again is where T-Spikes could be a little bit annoying if he does decide to bring them, but again, I'm pretty positive that he's not going to want to bring them just because of Scolipede. And then we do have a Rapid Spinner and Defogger on our draft. We have modest offensive Jolteon here with Expert Belt because the damage rolls from E-Belt Modest Jolteon are a lot more favorable than something like Life Orb racking up recoil on us and then having to be forced into a specific move if we were Specs. So with us being E-Belt, we can bluff a Specs set and then switch up moves to potentially catch a Pokemon and pick up a surprise KO. And we do have enough speed to outspeed Thundurus here. As you can see, it reaches 353 speed with a timid nature, which we can easily outspeed him, and then we can Volt Switch or knock him out with a Thunderbolt. Another good thing about us having E-Belt is that if he does have hazards like Rocks and Spikes, then we're not going to be taking that extra 10% from Life Orb. And then I think we have the MVP here. We got Substitute Speedy Snorlax. Now this is enough speed to outspeed non-relaxed or non-minus speed nature Gastrodon, and enough speed to outspeed only 4 speed EV'd Gramble, and 4 Speed EV'd Marowak, Alola Marowak to be exact. Now, Alola Marowak honestly is not that big of an issue. While I may not have a completely safe switch into it, I'm very positive that he's not going to want to bring that because, again, I have kind of a pseudo rain team and my electric type is kind of notorious for having Shadow Ball on its set. With us being expert belt and modest, we will be able to utterly destroy Marowak if he does want to bring it. And the defense EVs and HP EVs allow for Snorlax's substitute to never be one-hit KO'd by minus speed, nature, and 0 speed IV'd, non-attack EV'd Ferrothorn's Gyro Ball. So if he has 0 attack EVs and he is running a relaxed or sassy nature with 0 speed IVs on his Ferrothorn, he will not be able to break my substitute even with the amount of speed EVs that we are running on this Snorlax. So yeah guys, that was the quick run through of the team. Like I said, this is more or less what I'm expecting Sork to bring. If he does bring T-Spikes, that could be a little bit annoying, but if he doesn't bring T-Spikes, or if he doesn't bring Toxapex in general, that's going to be absolutely amazing. So yeah guys, let's go ahead and get the match started. So let me change this up real quick. As you can see, Sork didn't even bother to bring Toxapex or Latios, and I was more relieved about the fact that he didn't bring Latios because that thing is an absolute monster. And it actually kind of sucks that he didn't bring it as well because I have Regenerator on my Reuniclus for almost no reason, and I was kind of hoping to maybe be able to Calm Mind with Reuniclus later in this match to be able to set up and win, but with him having Gastrodon and having Ferrothorn and even Gramble, there is a chance that Gramble could have Toxic or even the Gastrodon have Toxic, so I'm gonna have to watch out for that. And then because I don't have Focus Blast on my Reuniclus, unless I Calm Mind up a couple times, I'm not gonna be able to beat Ferrothorn 1v1, which he can easily just Leech Seed me, and then if he has Protect, can potentially outstall me if it comes down to it. But with me having Hidden Power Fire on Tangrowth and Fire Punch on Snorlax and Close Combat on Cobalion, I should be able to deal with Ferrothorn well enough. Landorus, again, I really did not expect him to want to bring Landorus, so there is a chance this could be Rocks and this could be spiking Ferrothorn, so he could have a hazard-based team in this matchup, which is going to be very, very annoying because he can easily wear down my Mamoswine and my Cobalion and even Jolteon, so I really have to play carefully around him if he does have spikes and rocks. But if he turns out to be a double dance variant of Landorus, which is a more threatening set than him just being a defensive stealth rocking set, I need to absolutely keep Tangrowth around so I can check, or not check, but I can counter the Landorus, and then I have Mamoswine to check the Landorus if he is a double dance set. Then Thundurus, depending on what set he is, will determine on how I can deal with him. Basically, Thundurus has 4 move slot syndrome going into this match because he can't be a nasty plot set, he can't be a mix set, and he can't be a supportive set all in one set. So as soon as I figure out what kind of Thundurus set this is, I will be able to deal with it accordingly. Manaphy, if it's not a bulky Calm Mind Rest Talk variant and I have Jolteon around to beat it 1v1, then I'm honestly not even worried about Manaphy at all going into this matchup. Gastrodon is only going to be a problem if I lose both Tangrowth and Jolteon, which of course I'm going to try to prevent from happening. But the good thing is that Mamoswine absolutely destroys Sork's team, which is going to be really, really good because with Mamoswine being my stealth rocker, the only way I can get up rocks is if I'm able to get them up on something that is asleep, or if I force out his Landorus or his Thundurus on my Mamoswine, and then on that switch out, then I can get up my rocks and he has no way of getting rid of them, and that extra little bit of damage over time will definitely come in handy to put his Mons closer into KO range from my Snorlax, Mamoswine, and even my Jolteon and Cobalion, because we are running a bit of attack EVs on Cobalion. So I wasn't too sure what he would want to lead with, but I was expecting him to either lead with Landorus or lead off with the Ferrothorn. So expecting that, I'm actually going to lead off with my Tangrowth, but he ends up leading off with the Gramble, which is really, really good because I can go straight for the Sleep Powder. I don't really care if he wants to switch directly into the Ferrothorn. We do have the Hidden Power Fire, as you see here, and luckily, he turns out to go for the Stealth Rocks. Now, I didn't want to switch out because I was expecting him to want to go for the Spikes, thinking that maybe he would have Rocks on Landorus. But with him having Rocks on this Ferrothorn, that means he doesn't have Rocks on Landorus. So this Landorus may not be a defensive set and most likely is a double dance variant, which means that I can constantly switch into it with my Tangrowth, and as long as Tangrowth doesn't get too weakened, he shouldn't be able to beat me 1v1. So from here, I am just going to go ahead and go for another Hidden Power Fire because I literally lose nothing in doing so, but he reveals to have the Protect. There was also the possibility that he had Spikes on this Ferrothorn as well, being a double hazard setter. But with him having Protect, I'm very positive that he doesn't have the Spikes, so predicting him to want to switch out here and not wanting to take another Hidden Power Fire, I'm going to Sleep Powder the incoming Gramble, and then I'm going to take this chance to go for the Leech Seed. Very positive in the fact that he wouldn't bring in the Ferrothorn, obviously, because I could go for the Hidden Power Fire. So scouting out for a Life Orb HP Flying, I'm going to switch into my Reuniclus. Now, he actually turns out to have the Thunder Wave, and he's going to turn out to have Lefties. So this means that he cannot beat my Tangrowth 1v1, which is really, really good. But because he missed that Thunder Wave, this now means that Gramble and Gastrodon can Toxic my Reuniclus, thus halting me from Calm Minding up and sweeping him mid to late game. Now, if he had hit that Thunder Wave, it actually would have been really, really good for me because, like I said, he wouldn't be able to Toxic my Reuniclus, and then all I would have to deal with was potentially getting paralyzed one turn, which, as you can see from his squad, he already has a hard time trying to break through my Reuniclus unless he gets up a Tail Glow or gets up a Sword Dance with his Landorus. And because he doesn't have Hidden Power Flying, this just makes Tangrowth that much more of a threat to his team as well. So because he doesn't have Life Orb HP Flying, I'm going to go ahead and switch into my Tangrowth here, scouting out to see if he did have the knockoff, as he actually pulls a switch into his Gastrodon, maybe thinking that I would want to go and try and Calm Mind up, that way he could Toxic me. But because I got the better end of the switch outs, I can stay in here and either go for Leech Seed or go for Hidden Power Fire or even go for the Power Whip, expecting him to want to switch in, or not switch in, but yeah, switch in to something like Thundurus. But I am going to go ahead and Leech Seed on the off chance that he did want to bring in the Gramble again. But because he brought in the Thundurus, I'm going to go ahead and hit him up with the Power Whip, knowing that he can't do anything to me. He's going to go for the Thunderbolt, maybe thinking that I would want to bring back in my Reuniclus, although that is not the case, as I'm going to go for the Power Whip again on the incoming Landorus. And I was very, very close to going for the Leech Seed there, although I guess going for Power Whip was the better play in the long run because I'm able to get off even more damage on this Landorus, which otherwise could have just U-turned out against me. Now, with him having lefties, I'm thinking that, okay, maybe he is a defensive Landorus and he just doesn't have Rocks on this. Maybe he has 4 attacking Landorus. Regardless, though, if he's not Sword Dance, then there is no way that he's going to be able to beat my Tangrowth, which even if he was Sword Dance, he couldn't beat me unless I was severely weakened. So I can basically just stay in here and go for Power Whip or Leech Seed or Hidden Power Fire, and I do go for the safer move in Leech Seed, expecting him to want to try to bring back in the Gramble or even bring in the Thundurus, and he does make a nice play by bringing in the Ferrothorn. So here, knowing that he's not going to go for Leech Seed, obviously because I am a Grass type, I'm going to switch into my Snorlax because I thought that he would want to go for the Protect, but he's actually going to end up switching out into Gastrodon, thinking that I would go for the Hidden Power Fire. And this is actually really good because normally Gastrodon is faster than Snorlax, but because I am running a lot of Speed EVs on this Snorlax, I'm going to be able to substitute before he's able to potentially burn me with the Scald, or as you can see here, go for the Toxic. And now with me being behind the substitute, he has to break my substitute before he's able to try to gain any type of momentum. As he hard switches into the Landorus, I don't get a paralysis, and unfortunately after lefties, he is slightly out of range of where Body Slam would otherwise be able to finish him off. So I was expecting him to stay in here and want to go for the Earthquake just to break my substitute, which is why I do make the aggressive play to body slam again, not predicting him to try and bring in the Ferrothorn. As he does bring it in here, I really don't care that he brought it in because we do have the Fire Punch, and him going for Protect 100% crossed my mind, but I didn't want to Earthquake on the off chance that he did have Power Whip and he went straight for it and broke my substitute, because at that point I would either be forced into my Tangrowth, which he could easily double on, or I would be forced to substitute until eventually he missed the Power Whip, because at the range of HP that he is at, I cannot knock him out with Fire Punch if he is running a plus defense nature and a lot of defense EVs. So either way, I think going for Fire Punch was still my better play to do in this scenario. Yes, I did reveal to him that I have it, but it really doesn't matter because he can't do anything to me. So as he switches into the Gastrodon, I was kind of hoping to maybe get a burn. That way I could start whittling down the Gastrodon a little bit, but it's okay because I can just stay in here and just spam Body Slam. As you see there, Earthquake is not able to break my substitute in one hit, so I can just Body Slam again. And basically what I'm trying to do here is put him in a scenario of where I can either get a free substitute and end up paralyzing this Gastrodon and then beating him 1v1 if I get lucky with paras, or I can get a free switch into my Gastrodon counter, which is my Tangrowth, without having to risk being burned by a potential Scald. And obviously I don't feel comfortable into switching into my Reuniclus because he has Toxic. I can't bring in Cobalion and I can't switch in Mamoswine or Jolteon. So I am just going to substitute again on the off chance that maybe he wanted to switch out, thinking I would want to bring in Tangrowth. Regardless though, I can just stay in here and spam Body Slam, and I am not getting a single paralysis here with Body Slam, which is a little bit annoying, but it doesn't really matter as I am able to get that free switch into Tangrowth, which is really great because now I'm in a scenario of where I can safely go for Leech Seed or even go for Hidden Power Fire as I do here, predicting him to bring in the Ferrothorn, and this time he finally did bring in the Gramble, which is gonna be my perfect chance to bring in Meltzer. And finally, it's only 28 turns into this battle, but I can finally get up my Stealth Rocks, and as long as he doesn't get the first turn wake, it's fine. But no, of course Sork gets the first turn wake after the mandatory first turn that you have to be asleep, and he's able to just nuke my Mamoswine with a close combat, which actually really sucks because, like I said, Mamoswine absolutely destroyed Sork's team, and at this point I still have no idea what item he is running on this Gramble because he doesn't have leftovers, he doesn't have Chesto or Lumberry, and he doesn't have Rocky Helmet. So the only other options that crossed my mind were Assault Vest or maybe some kind of Weakening Berry for my Cobalion, and he did after the match tell me he was Assault Vest, but again at the time of this match I didn't know that, so just keep that in mind. But I do bring in my Cobalion here. Now I didn't bring in my Cobalion to be offensive and go for the close combat Volt Switch or Iron Head. The reason why I brought in my Cobalion was to force him out into Gastrodon. That way I could double into my Tangrowth and just try to get momentum back in my favor after losing my Mamoswine. And because I lost one of my hardest hitting Mons to his team, this match is going to be just that bit longer. So I do Leech Seed here, not expecting him to want to bring in the Ferrothorn, but either switch into Gramble or try to fodder off the Thunderous. So I do go for the Hidden Power Fire here as I do a solid 50%. He's going to end up gyro balling me, and then I go for Sleep Powder expecting him to want to go for the Protect or switch out, but no, Sork just stays in here, and then I'm going to Hidden Power Fire again as he ends up bringing in the Gramble because I was very positive that he would want to stay in or just try to go for Protect, and I was honestly in a scenario where I could just spam Hidden Power Fire and lose absolutely nothing in doing so. And because I didn't see any of the previous items I mentioned on Gramble, and because I didn't know he was Assault Vest, him being Choice Banded crossed my mind because him knocking out Mamoswine with one hit can happen regardless if he is running attack EVs. So there was a chance that he was a banded set, and I stayed in, and luckily I'm able to easily take the play rough and I was able to put him back to sleep. As he brings in the Ferrothorn, I'm gonna switch. No, I ended up switching into my Runiclus as he brought in Ferrothorn, because I was gonna try and get up one Calm Mind with my Runiclus against that Gramble. This way, I could have an easier time beating this Ferrothorn potentially, and I wouldn't have to waste one turn Calm Minding, and then that would allow him to Leech Seed me on the turn that I went for Calm Mind. But because he brought in Ferrothorn and I wasn't able to get that Calm Mind up, I can just safely bring back in my Tangrowth without any fear of what he wants to go for, and then go from there. And at this range, he will 100% be knocked out by my Hidden Power Fire even after he goes for the Protect. So I'm not going to predict him to want to switch out as he brings in the Gramble. Even after this Intimidate, at the amount of HP that he is at and the fact that he doesn't have lefties, I will be able to beat this Gramble. And much to my surprise, Power Whip did 30% after Intimidate. So if I knew this, I would have stayed in against the Gramble earlier, but it's not that big of an issue. As he brings in the Manaphy, I didn't switch out because I didn't want him to get a free setup move, and I guess if he did have Substitute, me going for Leech Seed was a little bit risky, but I was thinking that he was more of a defensive set of Manaphy. This way I don't have to risk missing my Power Whip, and I don't have to risk missing Sleep Powder, and I can chew a +1 Ice Beam coming from Manaphy depending on his spread. So I can Leech Seed him, wear him down a little bit, and if worse comes to worse, I can sack off my Cobalion to be able to get a free switch into my Jolteon, which should be able to easily revenge kill this Manaphy, depending on if he has 1 or 2 Calm Mind boosts and on if he has the Wakan Berry or not. So I am able to Leech Seed. As he goes for the Tail Glow, I am expecting him to just safely want to go for the Ice Beam or even be aggressive and go for a Tail Glow again. As I bring in my Cobalion, I end up making another aggressive play. Like I said, I was going to bring in my Cobalion to just sack it off to this Manaphy regardless, because I really don't have much use for my Cobalion. While it would be nice to close combat the Ferrothorn, it's not really that crucial for me to need to do that. And what I can do is just close combat this Manaphy and just put him that closer into range of my Jolteon to knock him out. And if he was a Resto Chesto set, he could have gone for the rest here, but he still would have taken 40% plus the 2 turns of Leech Seed, and he would have been in range of where my Jolteon would have still been able to knock him out. As I finish him off with the Hidden Power Grass, he's going to bring in the Ferrothorn here, expecting me to switch out. He's going to double switch into the Thundurus, but honestly, I am an Expert Belt set, so I can Volt Switch to get off a little bit of chip damage on the Ferrothorn, and I'm actually able to knock out this Thundurus. And now at this point in the match, it is 4-3, and as you saw there, Sork actually did end up forfeiting because there's really nothing that Sork could have done at this point in the match. Snorlax substitutes on the Gastrodon and on the Ferrothorn and eventually beats them 1v1 if I am able to para the Gastrodon. If not, then I have Tangrowth that can beat Ferrothorn and Gastrodon 1v1, and then Landorus also gets beat by Tangrowth and outsped by my Jolteon if he doesn't get up a Rock Polish. And then if I get rid of Ferrothorn, then I can Calm Mind with Reuniclus and win with Reuniclus. So yeah, at this point Sork pretty much knew the match was over, and that is going to be the 4-0 victory in the Durham Druddigons' favor for the first week of the CCL D League. But because of how the rules are in the D League, forfeiting counts as an automatic 6-0, so technically we got a 6-0 our first week, and I'm pretty sure that differential does actually matter in this league. So we are off to an absolutely amazing start for the D League, and hopefully you guys did enjoy this match. And if you did, make sure to hit the like button down below to answer the common question of the day. And again, I hope you guys did enjoy, so make sure to check out the 2 videos at the end of this video on the end screen. And with that being said, I will see you all tomorrow. So thank you all for watching, guys. Later, everybody.
Because my brain and heart are both tied in the knot, and this hinders me from crying a lot. This causing me to show no emotion. But when I said I cared, I wasn't joking. But I guess it's too late for me to become broken. For now, I'm living with no more pain, tears of hoping. I'm just coasting. Yeah, I said I'm coasting. No more pain, tears, hoping.